The Trap of Ace Novel Audiobook. Chapter 3 Stormy Gray Eyes. A knock landed on the door. You ready, honey? Your dad is waiting downstairs. Yeah, Mom. Just give a minute, I replied, staring at my reflection in the mirror. All right. Come soon. I ran my palm over the red material clung against my skin. It felt smooth. Everything was perfect. The nude makeup, the simple side-parted long hair, the off-shoulder gown with a sweetheart neckline and a semi-high slit at the side. Everything was in place. I'm ready, I whispered, grabbing my black clutch. I smoothed my hair once again and sauntered downstairs. Warner met me at the door. His mouth fell open, light blue eyes looking up and down my body. Holy shit. You all looking, he shook his head. I've no words. I smiled. Thanks. You don't look that bad yourself. He did look good in his three-piece suit and tie. Shall we? I asked. Sure. God knows. No one can take their eyes off of you tonight. Grinning, he gave me an arm, and I took it. Once outside, we found Mom adjusting Dad's tie as he grunted something under his breath. His face turned grim, spotting us together. After Mom gushed about my looks and being proud that I went after her, we all piled in the car. Though her subtle attempt of asking me if I was feeling good after I left the dinner in the middle, excusing of my jet lag last night, I knew what she wanted to ensure. If I was okay. Not physically, but emotionally. Everyone had avoided talking about the engagement as much as possible before me. They thought it could upset me as they all had an idea of my heartbreak 7 years ago. Not all of it though. They weren't aware of what happened that night. But they didn't know I wasn't the 15 years old Emerald anymore. I was going to face the man who broke my heart years ago, and see him announce his engagement with my sister before the world. But I was alright. It's been years since then. I had a boyfriend. I'd moved on. After last night, I hadn't seen her. And honestly, I didn't want to. Even if I didn't care anymore. I still felt the anger and betrayal I felt that night. After knowing everything, how could she come and announce her engagement to me as if nothing happened? How could she? I shook myself, not wanting to remember the past. I was stronger now. The past should remain in the past, and I should be happy for her. It's been years after all, and I've overcome the past. It didn't affect me now. Not at all. The car screeched to a halt. Along with my heart, Mom and Dad got out, and Warner followed behind. We were here, Warner called out, waiting for me outside. Deep breaths came out of me. My hands fisted my gown at my knees. Heart palpitating down the chest. My mouth turned dry. A drop of sweat trickled down my nape. It was slipping. The calm facade. It was slipping from my control. Honey. Come on. Tessa is waiting for us inside. Mom probed. I can do it. Nothing happened. I've moved on. Giving her a tight nod, I gritted my teeth and scrambled out with shaky knees. I caught Warner's arm in a vice grip as my eyes fell on the huge mansion I didn't remember when I last visited. You alright? You look a little pale, Warner asked as we crossed the threshold. The line I shouldn't cross. I'm fine. My nails dug into my palms. Are you sure? I nodded, clutching him harder. He winced, but didn't ask any further, and I was grateful for that. I let him drag me across the mass of people dressed in sophisticated and branded clothes. The vast hall was sufficient to gulp the massive crowd alone. Everything was decorated the way a party of one of the most influential families should be. Elegant yet dazzling. As we passed the chatting and drinking crowd, we spotted Tess, standing beside some of her friends. Seeing us, she excused herself and rushed to us. The tail of her silvery sparkling gown dragged behind her. Tobias also followed. If all of their friends were here, that meant. Tugging my hand out of Warner's arm, I took a step back. My eyes glanced around. My legs urged me to run. Go back to the safety of my room where someone couldn't reach me. Someone whom I buried at the pit of my memories. Oh my God. Look at my baby. You are looking so beautiful. Mom's voice croaked as she glanced at Dad. When did our daughter get so big? Wilson. Look at her wearing an engagement ring today. She sniffled. I averted my eyes from her ring and took a glass of wine from a passing waiter. My hand shook around it. Dad rubbed Mom's back while Tess rolled her eyes. Mom, we're just announcing our official engagement date. I'm not getting married tonight. Don't worry about her. She just got a little emotional. Anyway, where is your fiancé? Dad asked, looking around. Oh, he is over there. She pointed near the bar, and I froze. Slowly and steadily, I followed everyone's gaze. 4 men stood together. One of them stood with his back to us. Is it him? 7 years. After 7 years, I will come to him face to face. I will have to look into those stormy gray eyes. I let out a shaky breath. I needed air. I needed out. Just as I was about to slip away, Tess called out for him. Caleb. My steps halted. Caleb. I glanced at the direction as that man turned around and a broad grin lightened his face. Striding closer, he kissed on Tess' cheek and greeted Mom and Dad. Their linked arms, gazing at each other's sighs with full of affection, I blinked. A silent gasp slipped through my lips. That means Caleb was the one Tess got engaged to. Achilles' cousin. Now that her ring made sense. Valencian. Caleb Valencian. A pressure in my chest suddenly disappeared, filling it with air. They weren't together. Emerald. Is that you? Caleb asked. Recognition flickered in his brown eyes. Oh my God. It is the infamous Emerald Hutton who didn't even give a call to this poor abandoned man all these times. I managed a smile. Hey, Caleb. He engulfed me in a bear hug, and I couldn't help but return his endearment. He was like a big brother to me. But in the process of distancing myself with him, I cut ties with everyone involving the Valencians. He pulled away and put his hands on my shoulders. Did anyone tell you what a beautiful woman you've grown up into? Chuckling, I shook my head. The grip around my glass remained firm. Any moment now. If you've stopped flirting with my sister, can I hug her now? Tess raised her brow at Caleb. Grinning, he placed a kiss on her temple. You know I only have my eyes on you, right? Rolling her eyes, she pushed him away and threw her arms around me. You are looking lovely. So are you, I said. Her gaze locked with mine. Something close to regret flashed in her eyes. And then something else which I couldn't decipher. Emerald. All right. It's time for a dance. Caleb interrupted. His giving Tess a look didn't go unnoticed. What's going on? Shall we? Blinking, Tess cleared her throat. She smiled and placed her hand on Caleb's, and together they skipped off to the dance floor. Mom and Dad got busy in conversation with some other couple. Warner's phone rang, cutting him in the middle as he went to say something. Excusing himself, he walked away to attend the call. Tobias noticed my wary glances around. My uneasiness. Relax. Everything will be fine. What? Why did you say that? I feigned confusion. He sighed, shaking his head. Nothing. You need another drink. He jutted his chin at my empty glass. No. Stay here with me. I wanted to say, but decided to go against it. Sure. Nodding, he went to the bar to get us drinks. I didn't need anyone for support. I could deal with it alone. I wasn't still that naive teenager who will fall on his feet with just his one glance. Suddenly the hair at the back of my neck stood up. Goosebumps pricked on my skin. Turning around, I observed my surroundings. Nothing seemed unusual. Then why did I feel like someone was watching me? As the colorful lights moved around the mass of chattering people, my gaze went to the first floor and stuck there. At the furthest corner, a figure stood there, his face in the shadow, hands in his pockets. He stood unmoving, his body facing mine. Even if I couldn't see his face, I could tell he was looking at me. And for some reason, it unnerved me. Even then, I couldn't tear my eyes. Who is he? Jumping in fright, I whirled around. Whoa, whoa, relax. It's just me, Warner said, putting his hands up. Breathing out a sigh of relief, I turned back again, and he was gone. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You just startled me, I replied, wetting my lips. All right, dance, he asked, giving me his hand. I looked for Tobias, and there he was, laughing with some girls with 2 glasses still in his hands. I shook my head at my brother, giving Warner a small smile. I took his hand. I didn't want to be alone right now. Once at the dance floor, we started to sway under the dim lights and slow music. And then I felt it again. That stare, the burning gaze watching me from afar, following my every move. Warner tucked a strand behind my ear, but my ardent gaze was searching for something in the crowd. You sure you are alright? You look a little disturbed since last night. He frowned. Yeah, everything is alright. Don't worry. Just the jet lag. I lied. I didn't want to. But I couldn't tell him why my nerves had been on haywire since I heard of this party. Alright. If you say so. But you know you can tell me anything and everything. I will listen. Right? This time my smile was genuine. I nodded my head. I know. His lips turned up as he took one of my hands and placed a kiss on the back of it. A throat cleared at my back. May I have the chance to dance with this beautiful lady? A deep hard voice asked. Distant Greek accent. I stiffened. Warner looked up over my head, and his eyes widened slightly. Recognition flashed into his eyes as a polite smile tugged on his lips. Sure. Stepping away, he glanced at me. I will wait for you at the bar. And then he disappeared from the dance floor. No, I wanted to say, but I couldn't move or say anything. I didn't even turn around. Didn't dare to. My heart pounded in my chest as I felt his heat behind me. A pair of big calloused hands covered mine, placing them before me together. With his arms engulfing me, a gasp slipped through my lips at the electricity that ran in waves into my veins. When I didn't move, he took control and swayed us both with his enormous frame around me in slow moves. The heady combination of his exotic cologne tangled with smoke filled my senses. Still the same. My brain stopped working. Hot breath tickled on my neck, making my knees weakened. An uncouth swarm of emotions crashed on me. Something squeezed in my chest as a shaky breath left my lips. Both of us stayed silent as we swayed under the music. All I could hear was the music, my deep breathing and the pounding of my heart in my ear. My hands trembled under his. I couldn't do this. I can't. I needed to go away. Moving his arms away. When I tried to pull away, he grasped my hand and swirled me around, pulling me in. My chest collided against him, gasping. When I looked up at him, my breath caught at my throat. Those stormy gray eyes. After 7 years I was looking into them. And it was what I feared. They held me captive, just as they used to do years ago. Those gray pools peered into my soul, compelling me. His face was inches away from mine. Breathless, I took in his other features, and I was lost for words. Strong chiseled jaws, prominent chin, beautiful sharp nose, firm desirable lips and a wide forehead. Not even a strand of his jet black hair was out of place. He wore it long. The ends touched his neck, just like a Greek god. Gone that charming boyish look. Everything about him now screamed man. A powerful rough man. I was breathless. My gaze couldn't move from his face. I didn't know age made people that much beautiful. No, beautiful was the word. Words couldn't describe Achilles Valencian. He was out of the world. Raising a hand, he brushed a single strand away from my face. And I didn't feel the shiver when Warner had done it earlier. His gaze roamed on every inch of my face, as if memorizing them. They seemed in some kind of trance, as if he couldn't help it. He brushed his knuckles against my cheek. A breathy murmur left his lips which I couldn't decipher. Subconsciously, I leaned into his touch, eyes not leaving his face, skin eager for more. Only those strong arms around me didn't suffice. My heart longed for something as it basked under his scorching gaze. The gaze I used to die for, wishing it on me even for a second. My vision burned at the soaring emotions slamming in my chest. My ace. But then his voice broke my trance, bringing me back to the present. The reality. Still won't talk to me. Rosebud. His grey locking with my turquoise. Rosebud. So he still remembered someone of that name existed in his life. Then he also must remember the heartache he gifted her years ago. Welcome to download the Bravonovel app. Read the novel The Trap of Ace online and get the latest updates.